program would be like this. Dr. Hugh Ross will be giving a presentation for 1 hour, and after that, there will be a Q&A program. And the questions, I will be expecting the questions to come in the chat room. I will not be unmuting the participants here. You can ask in Mizo or you can ask in English. You can have it here in the chat room, and I will be presenting those questions to our resource person during the Q&A. Till then, I would like to request Dr. Hugh Ross to take the host and to be the host, and he will be taking the show on the road right now. And as soon as I'm able to give him I'm making him the host, and sir, you take over from here, sir.
Okay, well, thank you. And I'm going to give you a presentation. So I'll be sharing my screen with all of you so you can see my visuals. And I'm going to make my talk a little bit shorter because I want to leave lots of time for questions and discussion. And, you know, the talk is, I'm going to, well, let me actually take you into the talk itself. But when it comes to the Q&A time, I'll take questions on any subject, not just what you'll see on the slides. Okay, all of you should be seeing my first slide, which is just simply a standard slide we have here at Reasons to Believe. I'm the founder of Reasons to Believe, and there's lots of ways you can contact us. If you don't get to ask your question today, you can pose questions to me on both my Facebook and Twitter page, and I get quite a few questions from India already, so feel free to take advantage of that. And Reasons to Believe has a 24/7 YouTube channel, and we're daily putting up video clips for you to watch. You can subscribe and be notified when we're putting up new video clips. Let's see. I'm trying to advance my slides here, and it's not working. Let me. Okay, I got a problem here. Just excuse me. It's not letting me exit either.
Can you make me the host again so that I can keep this meeting room active?
Yeah, I think I've lost my host capabilities.
Okay, is it? Just
because it won't even let me exit, so.
But you're still the host, sir.
Okay, let me exit and start again.
You're still the host, yeah.
Okay, good. All right, now the slide feature is working. Yeah, as you've heard from the host, I've written many books, 20 books now, and you can get free chapters of my books by going to reasons.org/Ross. Most of what I'll be speaking about in the next little bit will be from the 4th edition of The Creator and the Cosmos. It's our best-selling of our books. And you already heard people mention why the universe is the way it is. That book is now published in India, so it's available there, but you can get a free chapter again at reasons.org/Ross. And this is a book that got released just 2 weeks ago, my latest book, Weathering Climate Change. And that's my wife there showing us in Canada on August 1st. Canada is being warmed up more than any other country in the world by about a factor of 5. Its winters are, in some places, 30 degrees warmer than what it was 30 years ago, but their summers are colder, as this photo shows. Now, I've been asked to talk about scientific evidences for God, And this is just a survey of what we've experienced to be the best scientific evidences for persuading people that are skeptical of the Christian faith that the Christian faith indeed is true. Would be the origin of the universe, specifically the origin of space, time, matter, and energy, the fine-tuning design of the universe and Earth and all of Earth's life to make possible the redemption of billions of human beings from their sin and evil. Number 3 would be the origin of life. Number 4, the origin of human beings. And I hear that you have a lot of questions already lined up on human origins, so I'll be happy to take those questions. And then number 5, the description and the order of events in Genesis chapter 1, how they square with the established scientific record. And there are other evidences, but these are the 5 we found to be most significant, particularly in persuading atheist scientists to become Christians. And I'm going to focus most of the talk this evening on number 1 and 2, but I'll be more than happy. Yes, there's a problem.
Your slide is not showing in the conference.
The slide's not showing?
It's your video.
All right.
Right now.
Okay, let me exit and see if there's an issue here.
Can you share the screen again?
Oh, you know what? I think the share feature got lost too. Let me go back to share.
All right. Yes. Now it's coming up now.
Okay.
Now.
But now I got a problem. I can't advance the slides. Okay, there's some technological issue here. Let me stop share.
Will it work if it doesn't go full screen? I mean, like the slide. When you go full screen, I think that problem happened.
Well, let me try this again.
I can see your cursor moving.
Okay, can you see a slide?
It is there, but it's not full screen, but your cursor is moving. I think you can.
Let me try this.
All right. But the
I'll
slide
make it bigger.
is visible.
Okay. Well, I'll try one more time to see if this will work, and then if it doesn't.
Sure.
Now it's working. Can you see it?
Yes, yes.
Do you see my second slide?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let me just get through all these because we've covered these already. And this is the big 5. I'll review them again. The 5 most significant scientific evidences for the Christian faith. The 5 that we found here reasons to believe to be most impactful in bringing atheist scientists to faith in Christ. The origin of the universe, namely the origin of space, time, matter, and energy. The fine-tuning of the universe, Earth, and Earth's life to make possible the existence of billions of human beings, and in particular, the redemption from sin and evil. Number 3, the fact that when we study the origin of life, it points to a supernatural creator, and likewise for the origin of human beings. And then the compatibility of the scientific description and order of events in Genesis 1 with respect to the established scientific record. And in my talk, I'm going to focus mainly on 1 and 2, but I'll be happy to take questions on all 5, any other questions that you might have. Okay, now I'm having this problem again. I'm going to stop the share and exit. And what I'm going to do is just make this nice and, well, here, let me go back here. And I'll just use this feature here, make this a little bit bigger.
So in the meantime, there are some people waiting in the waiting room. If you can allow them to be admitted to the webinar, then because I gave you the host status right now, so I could not admit them.
Okay, we'll try this and see if it works. Yes. So I should have control from here on in. So what I'm going to focus on are the cosmic reasons to believe in Jesus Christ as Creator, Lord, and Savior. And this is the outline. I'm going to first talk about the scientific evidences that a God beyond space and time must exist. Then the second is the scientific evidence that this transcendent God must be a personal, loving God. And finally, a redeeming God. Basically making the point that the scientific evidence not only establishes the existence of a God, but that it establishes theism, that this God is a personal being, and that it really is Jesus Christ, in the sense that it's a God intent with a plan to redeem billions of human beings unto himself, deliver them permanently from sin and evil, and set them free to experience love beyond anything that's possible here. All right. Now, I've been reading books on astronomy since I was 7 years of age. In fact, starting at age 7, I was reading an average of 5 books a week on physics and astronomy. But one of those books I read at age 7 was a book by Fred Hoyle titled Nature of the Universe. And Fred took more of a Hindu perspective on the universe. In fact, in this book, he's got 2 chapters where he explains why he finds Christianity to be completely unacceptable. In fact, the language he uses towards the Christian faith indicates that he really did not like Christianity at all. Nevertheless, he made a statement on page 109. There's a good deal of cosmology in the Bible and its remarkable conception. And I never really forgot that from age 7 onwards. Didn't really pick up a Bible till I was 17. The Gideons handed out Bibles in our public school, and I began to go through that Gideon Bible, realize what Fred Hoyle wrote indeed was true. If you compare the Bible to all the other holy books of the combined religions of the world, the Bible says about 10 times as much as all the rest of the world's holy books put together. And what I'm going to do for you is a review what the Bible says, and then basically look at the scientific evidence in support of this. And I find no matter where I speak in the world, almost everybody is aware that the Bible tells us that the universe has a beginning. The first sentence of the Bible, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now that phrase, the heavens and the earth, if you look at it in the original Hebrew language, it means the entirety of physical reality, all of matter, energy, space, and time. The New Testament in Hebrews 11 says that the universe that we can detect did not come from that which we can detect. And we can detect matter, energy, space, and time. And I didn't list the passages here, but Paul in his writings speaks about time having a beginning and how God was doing things before he created the universe. He says, for example, in 2 Timothy 1:9, that the grace of God that we now experience was put into effect before the beginning of time. And this is what sets the Bible apart from other holy books. It not only tells us that the matter and energy has a beginning, but even the space and time itself has a beginning. Now, I was studying, reading the Bible in my late teenage years at the same time that physicists in Britain and South Africa were developing the first of the space-time theorems. And today there are more than 30 of these theorems, but probably the most well-known one is this one by Arvind Borde, Alexander Vilenkin, and Alan Guth, where they proved that any universe that expands on average, and the significant point here, only a universe that expands on average will permit the existence of physical life. Any universe that expands on average has a space-time beginning, implying a causal agent outside of space and time who creates space-time, matter, and energy. And one of these three authors, Alexander Belinkin, not a Christian, 2 years later wrote a book about these space-time theorems. And this is what he said about those theorems. He said, with the proof now in place, cosmologists can no longer hide behind the possibility of a past eternal universe. There is no escape. They have to face the problem of a cosmic beginning. He wrote that in his book, Many Worlds in One. Now, what he was talking about in terms of this problem is that proof of a space-time beginning implies a causal agent beyond space and time who creates our universe of space-time, matter, and energy. And so here within just a few minutes, thanks to these space-time theorems, and which establish that indeed there must be an agent beyond space and time who creates our universe. And I found that when I engage physicists and astronomers who identify themselves as atheists or agnostics, when I press them on this issue of the space-time theorems, they would say, well, I don't believe in God, but I do believe there's a causal agent beyond space and time who created our universe, which is really quite a good definition of God. And so what I've discovered is most of my peers who claim to be atheists and agnostics, in fact, are deists. They actually do believe there's a causal agent beyond space and time who created our universe, but they deny that this God is a personal being. So a transcendent God, a transcendent God must exist. But the question, is this God personal, and did he design the universe and earth so that billions of human beings can exist? And in particular, that billions of them could actually come into a relationship, an eternal relationship with God.
Sir, just 1 minute, sir.
Yes.
There are some people waiting in the waiting room. You're the host, so I think, can you just admit them to the webinar?
Let me see how I can do that. Let me.
Calling me up because I cannot admit them right now, and they're really eager to come into the into the webinar.
Yeah, I think the only way I can do that is to stop share. So let me do that. Okay, and go down to participants. Okay, I found, wait, there's, okay, have I admitted everybody that wants to be admitted?
Yes, sir.
There were 4 that were waiting.
Yes, sir.
Oh, there's 17. There's more. They're coming up.
Yes, sir. So I think we have to check maybe occasionally, maybe, because some of them are a little bit late.
Yeah, I'm going to have to scroll down and get them all. Hang on.
I think admit all will do, I think.
There we go. Admit all. Okay, we got them. Oh, a couple more. They're all joining in now.
So sorry to disturb your presentation because people...
Not a problem. It'll work. Okay. Now, I think I can actually set you up as a co-host so that you can take care of that.
Yeah, that would be great if I can do that. Yes. Is there any option of co-host? I don't know.
Let me. Yeah, we should be able to set up any number of co-hosts.
It's okay, sir. Whoever can be there, I think That would be okay.
Okay, I admitted about 30 people.
All right, great, sir.
Okay, if I need to do that again, but there should be a way we can, oh, wait a minute, here we go. Oh, this version doesn't allow co-hosts. That's the problem. You get the latest version, you can actually have a host and several co-hosts. So I can't make you a co-host, I'm sorry.
Okay, it's okay. Maybe we can check it maybe around after 15 minutes again, so that if there are other people coming in, then
Yeah, if you see people, just let me know and I'll exit and we'll admit them.
yes, sir. Sure.
Okay, let me go back to the share feature. Okay, you should be seeing a slide now, hopefully. Oh, we got an issue here again. Let me stop and try this again. Okay, we've been through the scripture passages that talk about the beginning of the universe. The Bible actually says even more about the expansion of the universe. And so these are just 11 passages. That's not a complete list, but it's most of them that talk about, in the English translation, it's the stretching out of the heavens. But if you actually look at the Hebrew word that's translated stretching out, the verb is natah, and it means the expansion of what's being described. And what you notice if you look at these 11 texts, that Hebrew verb natah shows up in all three Hebrew verb forms. This is important because it indicates that these texts literally are declaring that we live in a universe that continuously expands from that space-time beginning. And it's not just me, a 21st century astronomer, reading this into the text. Jewish theologians who lived 800, 900 years ago, when they were reading these texts, drew exactly the same conclusion. This is important because outside of the Bible, no book of history or science or philosophy even hinted that we live in an expanding universe except for the Bible. So the Bible literally stood alone for thousands of years in making this declaration. And now that we live in the 21st century, we have overwhelming scientific evidence that indeed this is the case. In fact, I've written an entire book talking about the best scientific evidences that the Bible got it right about the expansion of the universe. That book is The Creator and the Cosmos, 4th edition. Those best evidences tend to be on the technical side. So what I'm going to do is just give you two evidences that are easy for non-astronomers to understand. And the first of these is thanks. Yeah, here it is. These are just two slides from the Hubble Space Telescope. There are many more than these two, but what you see in the left are Hubble space imaged of the galaxies that are 12 billion light years away, which means we're seeing them as they were 12 billion years ago. Contrasted with the slide to the right, where we're seeing galaxies 2 billion light years away, which is mean we're seeing them as they were 2 billion years ago. And I put both of these slides on the same spatial scale. And so what you see is 12 billion years ago, galaxies were jammed so tightly together, they were ripping spiral arms off one another. But as we move forward 10 billion years, the galaxies are spread apart from one another, where this phenomena is now quite rare. You can also notice on the right that the galaxies are bigger, and that's because as the universe gets older and older, galaxies merge together while they're spreading apart from one another as the universe expands. And if you go to the NASA website, you can find dozens of images of galaxies like these at all different look-back times. As you put them all together, it's like watching the universe grow up from its cosmic expansion event to its present moment. And so you can actually see through these images that indeed the galaxies are getting farther and farther apart from one another as the universe continuously expands. Now, the Bible says in multiple places that the laws of physics do not change. And perhaps the best example is what we see in Jeremiah chapter 33. It's good to read the whole chapter because God in this chapter is complaining about how the Jews change their mind all the time. But he says, I am a God that does not change. I'm the same yesterday, today, and forever. And he says, as evidence, look at the laws that govern the heavens and the earth. As they don't change, I do not change. They are fixed, I am fixed too, in the way I operate in my character attributes. But you can also go to texts like Romans chapter 8, where it talks about one of the laws of physics, namely the second law of thermodynamics, and tells us that the entire creation is subject to its bondage to decay. The law of decay applies to the entire universe throughout all space and throughout all time. And if you want to read a longer text, look at the book of Ecclesiastes. It speaks about these laws of physics and how they've been unchanging throughout the history of the universe. Now, I remember reading this in my teenage years in the Bible and realizing that if you put these passages together, the Bible actually is saying we must live in a universe that gets colder and colder as it gets older and older. Because any system that's subject to a pervasive law of decay, and where that system expands, must get colder. It's the same principle of an automobile engine. When the piston chamber expands, the temperature drops and the gasoline stops burning. When the piston chamber compresses, the temperature goes up and it reignites the gasoline. That principle applies to the entire universe, and it is such that if we know the age of the universe and its expansion rate, we get a biblically predicted cosmic cooling. And so this next graph shows you the cooling curve of the universe that the Bible predicts, given that we know the age of the universe and the cosmic expansion rate. And those little red dots there are 14 measurements we astronomers have made of the past temperature of the universe. And that citation you see at the top highlights the middle red dot. It's the most accurate measurement made by astronomers to date of the past temperature of the universe. And the error bar on that measurement is actually thinner than the thickness of that biblically predicted line, but it's exactly on the biblically predicted line. So I developed this graph when I was doing a debate with an atheist quantum physicist where he said, I want to see the Bible from thousands of years ago making a numerical prediction that we can check with actual measurements. Well, here's one such example where you get this biblically predicted cooling curve, and you can check it out with actual measurements that we astronomers have made. And more measurements are actually in the works, so I think this evidence is going to get stronger in the near future. Now, today we know what's most responsible for the expansion of the universe. It's something called dark energy. It was discovered in late 1998 and early 1999. It's the energy that's embedded in the space surface of the universe. We now know it makes up 71% of the entirety of the universe. And the way this dark energy operates, it's embedded in the space surface of the universe. And as that surface expands, as the universe gets older, dark energy becomes progressively more powerful to accelerate the expansion of the universe. And all the matter and energy is constrained to that space surface. And the expansion rate determines what kinds of stars and galaxies you get, and at what time, and how far apart they'll be from one another. And years ago, it was an atheist astrophysicist, Lawrence Krauss, who published a paper in the Astrophysical Journal where he wrote about the degree to which this dark energy must be fine-tuned in order to make possible the existence of life in the universe. And the answer is, it must be fine-tuned to within 1 part in 10 to the 122nd power. That's 122 zeros after the 1. And what I've done here in this slide is to compare the fine-tuning design of dark energy that's needed to make physical life possible in the universe with the very best example of human fine-tuning design. And the opinion of most physicists, including myself, the epitome of human design achievement is the LIGO instrument, the gravity wave telescope, that made possible the discovery of gravity waves 3 years ago. An amazing machine that's able to make measurements of 1/10 the diameter of a proton over a length scale of 4 kilometers. But if we compare the best example of human fine-tuning design to what we see just in the dark energy, we realize that the dark energy fine-tuning design exceeds the best example of human design success by 10 to the 97 times. That's 10 trillion, 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 trillion times. And what this implies is that the one that designed dark energy to make possible the existence of life in the universe, at a minimum, is 10 to the 97 times more knowledgeable and more intelligent than the Caltech and MIT physicists that invented this machine and designed it. And I worked with these people. I was at Caltech for 5 years as a research fellow. These people are incredibly brilliant, but not nearly as brilliant as the one that designed dark energy so that we humans could exist in the universe. Or you could argue another way, that the one that designed dark energy, at a minimum, has 10 to the 97 times greater funding than the US government who actually made it possible for this amazing instrument to be constructed. Now, these implications are not only being drawn by physicists and astronomers who, like me, already believe in God, they're being drawn by atheist physicists and astronomers who don't believe in God. They're committed atheists. And this was exemplified in a research paper that was published a few years back. And it caught the attention of Philip Ball. Philip Ball, a few years back, was a physics editor for the British journal Nature, probably the most prestigious science journal that exists. And Philip Ball was very public about his atheism. And he saw this research paper and he decided to interview the 3 authors, Dyson, Kleben, and Susskind. And that interview is published in Nature News on August 13th, 2002. And these are 2 quotes from the interview. And incidentally, you can go to the Nature News website and see this interview for yourself. But one of the quotes that Philip Ball presented was the 3 authors saying, arranging the cosmos as we think it is arranged would have required a miracle, which is a remarkable statement coming from 3 theoretical physicists that are atheists. But they went on to say, that an unknown agent, namely an agent beyond space and time, intervened in the evolution that is a history of the universe for reasons of its own, which explains the title of their paper. I've got the paper right here with me, and it's titled Disturbing Implications of a Cosmological Constant. Cosmological constant being another term for dark energy. And these two quotes explain their title. Namely, being atheists, they found it so utterly disturbing that if dark energy is real, then we have this agent beyond space and time performing miracles for a reason of his own. It also explains the last sentence that they published in the research paper. This is the last sentence. Perhaps the only reasonable conclusion is we do not live in a world that is a universe with a true cosmological constant. They ended their paper in the Journal of High Energy Physics by saying, dark energy cannot be real. The astronomers are mistaken. Because if dark energy is real, we got this agent beyond space and time performing miracles for reasons of his own. But the irony of this paper is that it was published just months before astronomers came up with 9 independent observational demonstrations that not only is dark energy real, it's the dominant component of the universe. And so I wound up writing a short article on each one of these 9 confirmations. And yeah, because I don't have control here, I'm just going to read these to you because I actually had these 2 slides combined. The first 5 was astronomers were able to demonstrate that dark energy was real and the dominant component of the universe. Dark energy articles, and I will pop up for you these 9 short articles I've written. And actually, we now have 25. I posted those 9 shortly after this paper was published, but today we astronomers have 25 observational demonstrations that dark energy is real and the dominant component of the universe, which means that indeed there really is an agent beyond space and time performing miracles for reasons of his own, an agent that possesses the character attributes of knowledge, intelligence, creativity, and power. And this takes us from just deism to theism. This now establishes that it's a personal God that created the universe, and it's a God that loves humanity and loves life, and that he designed the universe to make our existence possible. Now, if you were to ask me as a scientist, what is the most spectacular evidence for fine-tuning design in science that we can measure and to put accurate numbers on? It would be dark energy. But it's not the only feature of the universe. There's actually dozens of distinct features of the universe where the level of fine-tuning design is greater than anything we human beings are capable of. And so back in 1991, our scientific team began to go through the scientific literature and basically collect these features of the universe that must be fine-tuned in order to make possible not advanced life, but just bacterial life. What does it take to have an ecology of microbes on a planet anywhere in the universe? Just one planet. And back in 1991, as we surveyed the scientific literature, 17 such features were published. But what you notice here, every year that went by, the list got longer and longer, where today the list stands above 200 such features. And if you want to see those features listed, along with citations to the scientific literature where they're published, you can look at that by going to reasons.org/fine-tuning. But this demonstrates a principle we see in the book of Job and Psalms, that the more we learn about nature, the more evidence we'll find for the supernatural handiwork of the creator of the universe. And I've got about 50 books in my library, my personal library, where astronomers like Paul Davies writes about the fine-tuning design of the universe that makes possible the existence of life. I actually had a dialogue with Paul Davies on British radio a few years back. You can find it by going to the Premier Radio website. It was about a 2-hour dialogue we had, friendly dialogue. Paul Davies identified himself as an agnostic, but this is what he wrote in his book, The Cosmic Blueprint. And we look at the universe, the impression of design is overwhelming. And that's pretty much the consensus of the 50 books I have. Only 2 of those 50 books are written by Christians, but there's a consensus. When we look at the universe, we do indeed see this overwhelming evidence for design. And you can read more about this in the book, The Creator and the Cosmos. And you can also see it at reasons.org/fine-tuning. But you know, these books that I've got in my library, that's basically where these authors stop. They look at the universe and they say, when we look at the universe, we see this overwhelming evidence for design. But they fail to take it from the universe as a whole, where we get down closer to where we are on Earth. And we've been documenting for the past 30 years at Reasons to Believe is that it's not just the universe where we see this overwhelming evidence for design. We see it on every single size scale. So for example, we notice that we also see it in our galaxy cluster, our super galaxy cluster, and our local group of galaxies, that you need a just right galaxy cluster, excuse me, in order for existence to be possible. I'm writing a book on this right now, basically making the point. There's only one super galaxy cluster in the entire universe that has the characteristics that permits the existence of advanced life. There's only one galaxy group in all the galaxy groups that we can see that has the features that makes possible the existence of advanced life. And we live in a just right galaxy. I've documented how there's over 200 different features of our galaxy that must be fine-tuned to make our existence possible in our galaxy. And we've been looking at galaxies all over the universe. Ours is the only one that has the features. And therefore, I think we need to revise all those Star Wars movies. It can't be a galaxy far, far away. It's got to be the Milky Way galaxy. Our star, for 60 years, astronomers have been trying to find a star sufficiently like the sun that it could be a candidate to have a planet orbiting it in which advanced life exists. And astronomers have found many stars that are twins of one another, but they've yet to find an adequate twin of the sun. It alone has the features that permits the existence of advanced life on a planet orbiting it. And we have a just right Jupiter, a just right Saturn, a just right Neptune. In fact, what we've been discovering in looking at planets outside of the universe, the list today stands above 4,100 planets discovered outside of our solar system. And the discovery of those planets, first, it resulted in a prediction that all these extrasolar planets would be just like the planets in our solar system. To date, not a single one of them is like any of the planets in our solar system. And what that led was to the recognition all 8 planets in our solar system must be fine-tuned to make advanced life possible on the Earth. We need Mars to be exactly the way it is, Neptune to be exactly the way it is, Venus, and etc. They all play a role in making possible our existence. For example, the gas giant planets play a role in making sure we don't get too many or too few collisions from asteroids and comets. And the small rocky planets play a crucial role in breaking up the destructive mean motion resonances. And over 400 different features of the Earth must be fine-tuned to make life possible on our planet, and over 20 different features of our moon. We found almost 200 moons outside of the Earth-Moon system, but the moon is the only one where it has the right ratio of mass compared to its host planet to make advanced life possible. In that context, the moon is 50 times bigger than any other known moon. Now, just like we did for the features of the universe, back in 1995, our scientific team began to go through the scientific literature and look for these features of the galaxy and the planetary system that must be fine-tuned to make possible the existence of life. And again, this is not for advanced life. These probabilities here are for what is necessary to get microbes existing on a planet for more than 1 billion years. You say, why 1 billion years? Well, you need a minimum of 3 billion years of microbial activity on a planet to chemically transform the planet in order to make possible the existence of plants and advanced animals. And the probability there is the probability of finding one body in the entire observable universe that would have all the features that would make possible the existence of microbes for more than 1 billion years without invoking the supernatural intervention of a creator beyond space and time. And again, you can see the documentation at reasons.org/fine-tuning. Don't be too intimidated. The compendium there is 300 pages long, but it's all broken up into subcategories that allows you to see these different features. But again, it demonstrates this principle in Job and Psalms, that the more we learn about galaxies, the more we learn about stars and planets, the more evidence we see for the supernatural handiwork of the Creator. And you can see how the number of features that show this level of fine-tuning design has gone from 41 up to 676. And again, this is just for microbes. If you're talking advanced animals, the numbers are over 1,000. But if you look at those probabilities on the right-hand side, what you notice is that the scientific evidence for a supernatural creator designing galaxies, stars, and planets so that life can exist rises by about a factor of 1,000 times per month. And when I'm speaking on university campuses, I'll often share with the skeptics, if you're not convinced today that the God of the Bible created the universe so that we could exist, wait 1 month. Because if you wait 1 month, the evidence is going to get about 1,000